Okay, sounds good.
Okay, because we only have an hour. Just let me know when we're recording.
We are recording.
Right, it is 3:03, and I call this special meeting of the Vermont Community Broadband Board to order. Board members present at this time are Holly Gershner, Dan Nelson, and Patty Richards. Laura Sibilia is unable to make it, and we're hoping that Brian Otley will join in a few minutes, but we're going to kick off the meeting and get started. First item up for action is approval of the agenda, or actually, let me back up. Let's do staff roll call before I jump into the agenda.
Yeah, on staff, we've got Alexi Montserrat, Rob Fish, Heron Herzog, Tony Clitheroe, Kristen Sweet, and of course, yours truly.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, and I'll open it up with discussion. I'd like to, before public comment, insert an item for a board announcement before public comment. Any objection to that, Dan or Holly? All right.
No.
Is there anything else in terms of agenda changes?
No, nothing from staff.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take action. All those in favor of the agenda with the addition of a board announcement, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The ayes carry 3-0. So let's move now to an announcement of the board, and I'm going to turn it over to Holly, and I'll let her take the show.
Well, you know, all good fun has to come to a close at some point. So I have let our chair, Patty Richards, and our board know that it is time for me to resign from the board. And I know that you can breathe a sigh of relief, but I will miss you. And I am so honored to have participated with all of you in such a noble cause. The spirit of engagement and the gazillions of hours, paid and unpaid, have been amazing. And I know that each and every one of you bring your very best every time to this endeavor. So thank you for the opportunity to participate. I will say that Patty has recommended and vetted 2 stellar candidates. I'd be honored to be replaced by them to the speaker, and I don't think we'll miss a step or a beat in continuing the good work. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in October, but not after.
Thank you, Holly. And you are going to be sorely missed. Your participation has been paramount on this board. And I just want to make that comment that I'm going to miss your thoughts and your wisdom and your expertise. And no matter who fills your shoes, they're not going to be you, which is going to be tough. So thank you for all your hard work. And we're going to truly miss you.
So kind of you. Thank you.
If I may
Yeah,
just jump in, thank you, Holly.
Dan. Yeah.
Really appreciate everything you've done, and such an asset to the board, and helps in so many different ways. It's been wonderful to work with you.
Likewise, Dan, and thank you.
And yep, I'll add too that, you know, I was speaking for staff, you know, when I told staff about this, that we honestly can say we appreciate it. It may feel at times that we didn't appreciate it, but we always appreciate your feedback, because we've had much better quality results and you very thoughtful input. So again, we'll miss you.
Well, thank you. I do know that sometimes it was torture.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
But, you know, creating something from ground zero or ground up is really hard work. So really, you know, kudos to you, Christine. Okay, please move on.
Okay, let's keep going. Thank you again, Holly. Let's move to item 2 of the agenda, which is public comment.
Yes, do we have any from the public want to speak, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And Krista has raised her hand. Go ahead, Krista.
Okay, I'm not moving on, Holly. So I also want to say that your participation on the board has been really critical in this time, both the thoroughness and the detail, but also just taking us all the way back to the VTA days and, you know, the work that we've started there and the time frame that we have come on. Pam's on here. Others were there too. So a lot has been done, and this is a big part of that. And I really think that your willingness to put in the hours and the details and the understanding and share your breadth of knowledge has been really important. So thank you very much for all the time that you did put into this. And I don't know what's next, but I'm definitely texting you to find out.
Krista, just keep going.
Okay, I'll do that. I've got that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Next we have Janelle.
Yeah, I wanted to say thanks for the digital equity work that you've done, okay? Because I think this is a really important piece, and that's how I was first introduced to you, and I really appreciate that. I think you've done important things for the state in regards to digital equity. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Janelle, very much.
Thank you. And Pam?
As a previous supervisor of this fabulous human. And I consider myself so fortunate to have worked with Holly as well as with Krista. What an exceptional group of folks we have had here in the state. We're very fortunate, and thank you, Holly. I know that our relationship is not over. It will be easier now. We won't have cones of silence, but you made me proud, and
Well,
I really appreciate that.
Pam, we go way back now. So
Don't we?
I am looking at the clock, and I'm going to be upset if we don't get to our agenda items. So if you, my cell, just text me 412-445-0030. Happy to hear from anybody, but not now. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much, everybody. Any other comments? We move on with the agenda. Okay, looks like we're good, Patty.
Okay, great. And I hope all those comments are reflected in the minutes because those are all perfectly said. Okay, let's move now to agenda 3, which is the NEK CV broadband CUD grant request.
Yep, and I'll turn this over to Alexi to kick it off.
Okay.
Hey, good afternoon. So we previewed this a bit at the last board meeting, but are now bringing the actual request before the board. There are 2 of them. One is to use, both are to use, obligate NEKCV's remaining ARPA allocation. Within that, there is a portion that would go to an additional set of addresses. So a sort of fairly straightforward build. And for that, you have a memo from CTC that walks through that as we normally have. For the second portion, it is a request for match for BEAD, which we have not done previously, but have structured this in a similar fashion to the request for the 30 million state funds, in the sense that this would be a standalone piece as contingent on winning BEAD. And so I will put it there for now, and then we can address any questions.
Okay, is discussion on the grant application and the BEAD request, do we have to do the entire thing in executive session, or is there any of it that's public?
I think Tony, you can answer that question since
Yeah, my understanding was we were just going to introduce the issue and then go straight into executive session
Okay,
under the
so
contract.
I'm going to make a motion that we move into executive session per 1 VSA section 313A6, which protects records exempt from the access to the public records law. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? All those
Yeah,
in
that would
favor?
include all staff that's present here.
Okay, let's take the vote first. All those in
Okay.
favor of going into executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes carry 3-0. So go ahead, Christine.
Yeah, it would include staff, Alexi Montserrat, Rob Fish, Aaron Herzog, Tony Clitheroe, Christina Sweet, and myself.
Okay. All right, let's move over then.
Okay, and Heron will handle the move.
Do you also
Go
want
ahead.
Telus?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
tell us should be included.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sorry,
Telus, sorry.
Okay. We'll be moving in 10 seconds.
Patty, do you want me to try to make the a motion, since I had what I would say two housekeeping changes?
Happy to have you do that. I wrote notes, but go for it.
Oh, good. If you have it, go for it. I actually, I've only got my chicken scratching. So if you have it, go for it.
I'll try, but if I don't get it,
It's
Yep,
a team
I'm-
sport.
okay. All right, so we're all set to go?
Yes, we've got the board members back anyway.
Okay, we are out of executive session. No action was taken in executive session. We reviewed contractual matters with NEK. But we're ready now to take action on their requests. So the first motion I'm going to put on the table is that we approve an amendment to their existing construction grant of $4,339,687 in ARPA funds, with a change relative to the approval of the grant manager and their documentation to change that to approval of the executive director of VCPB, and also to include a provision that their grant request is in compliance with board approved policies.
And that the review of our advisor, CTC, has found that the proposed construction meets the requirements for overbuild of 30 VSA 8086F.
Thank you. Yes, that too. Those three conditions. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Excellent, Holly. It's very appropriate. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The ayes carry 3-0. Okay, the next request from NEK was a request to approve the use of $20,999,474 as bead match, contingent on NEKCV receiving commitment to a bead award prior to September 30th, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes carry 3-0. Congratulations, NEKCV. It's a big step.
Thank you very
and,
much. Much appreciated.
Thank you for all your work.
Yep, and thank you, board members.
Okay. All right. That brings us now to Chittenden County CUD. Christine, I'll let you tee that up.
Yep, I'll have Alexi take, is Alexi here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Alexi. Take that away.
So this, again, we also had a run through of at the prior board meeting. Just to recap briefly, Chittenden County is bringing a two-phase approach in meeting their universal service plan. The first phase is what they are asking for grant funding of today for $2.1 million. The second phase would be accomplished via Consolidated's commitment to bid for BEAD to cover the remaining territory not covered in phase one. And so we wanted to make it clear that we have worked with Chittenden to ensure that, number one, they are fully committed to universal service and staying in existence, such that if portions of this run into challenges for whatever reason, they will continue to operate until they've got the universal service plan fulfilled. That there is a commitment by CCI to provide sustainability funding to Chittenden County in the same fashion in which it is currently doing so for the other CCI partnered CUDs. And then I think those are the two main things. So, and we've got folks here to answer questions should we need to, and if those require executive session, then we can do that. And I would simply say that staff does recommend the grant.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's open it up to questions. Holly?
I have a question for Alexi. I am just looking at the fact that in terms of on or underserved, South Burlington and Essex Junction aren't contributors to our quest. I mean, 2 addresses maybe in South Burlington. So is it appropriate that they're members of this CUD, or is there any concern on your part that they somehow get the benefit of this? I mean, I'm just asking the question. I have no idea whether towns with no one unserved should be part of this exercise.
I will defer some of that since it will get to a little bit of maybe an explanation of the bill, just so that that's clear. To the conceptual question, I would simply say that those towns are part of Chittenden County CUD, and in our role as supporting the CUD, such as it is, we are recommending moving forward.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to take that as they're part of the CUD and CUD is the applicant. Okay, fine. There's the other little question I have is, what about these 2 locations that were referred to as on an island? Are they part of this application?
I'll let
Phase
Mike
one?
Vance speak
Phase one?
to that
Hi,
one.
hi. My name's Mike Vance. I am the executive chair. On an island kind of means just that. Juniper Island, which is off
Yeah.
the coast of South Burlington, I guess we'll call it,
Yeah.
is an island, but it is technically in South Burlington, and there is an E911 address on it.
Is there power? Are they on the grid?
Self-provided, I believe, because I get those confused with the one off Shelburne, and there's one off Colchester, Hazlitt's, and most of them are self-powered. They are being declared as high cost for the purposes of the exercise, because it was an enormous cost to run submarine cable to an island, as I work for a company that has to do that in Charlotte, and we'll actually be doing it on a different thing, but it is very expensive. So it is quite definitely the very definition of high cost. But they are technically in South Burlington, and they have a 911 address.
So to add to that, these are not they don't qualify under Act 71, but they will qualify under BEAD as an extremely high cost location.
But wait a second. I'm trying to act as a board member, and Michael, thank you. I mean, clearly you've been working some late nights getting this together, and there's so much nuance in your part in your particular CUD. But this is ARPA funding we're talking about today, right?
Right.
For 133 addresses. And ARPA funding has to be by board policy on the grid. So I want to make sure that those 2 locations are not part of this application.
So they're on the
They are
application
not.
probably because they're 911 addresses. But someone's.
This is Sarah Davis with Consolidated Communications.
Excellent.
These 2 addresses are not part of this application. To be thorough with the application, and because the board was so focused on universal service last time, we spoke to every single location and what its story was. But there is no money being sought for those 2 locations in this application.
Yes,
Okay, well,
that's probably putting it better.
That's if that's the case,
Helpful.
that helps us move forward. Yeah, thank you very much. And Alexi, I know you'll keep an eye on that. So that was really my question for this application. I really don't think we should be talking a lot about how, I think what you're saying is there's a universal service plan here. Phase 2 relies on BEAD. And so it's kind of convoluted maybe, but we have to just focus on phase 1 and applying our Act 71 standards. So thank you.
But as we discussed at the last meeting, in the event we do approve the 2.1 million allocation, it is the commitment of the Chittenden County CUD to pursue BEAD with Consolidated, of course, and do that heavy lift to do the next step for phase 2. So the 2.1 million does come with strings.
Yeah, it has to,
Exactly.
The USF has to be there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Universal Service Plan, USP. Yeah, and I wasn't at the last meeting, so pardon me, all of those of you who may be looking cross-eyed at me going, why isn't she getting it? That? Okay, thank you.
Dan, do you have questions?
I don't.
Okay.
I like
Dallas, do you have anything that you wanted to add in terms of your review?
I do not have anything to add.
Okay.
Are there incidental overbuilds here, tell us?
So because this is an extension of Consolidated's network, we reviewed the design that was sent, and there are portions that will be owned by Consolidated and portions that will be owned by the CUD. And so same discussion applies. Before, we looked at all the addresses that were being served and if the build was necessary to serve the last address on that line, and there were none that were funded by the grant.
Okay. So you're essentially saying that that provision at 8086F doesn't apply here because there's not really overbuilds with grant money.
There's not overbuild. There's overbuild of CCI's current network, their cable network, or their coax network, but no fiber overbuild.
And
yeah.
So it's
to
not
qualify, Consolidated's network is copper, not coaxial.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but that's actually not how the statute works, right? So
no, it's not incidental.
I was just
overbuild
correcting the
of
error.
Anything over
yeah.
25. It's not incidental overbuild of any area to get to a served address, to put it.
Now, I want you, what I really hope you'll say is it is incidental overbuild. If
Oh,
there's
I'm sorry.
overbuild,
Yes.
it is incidental to get to
I thought
the
I
proposed
did.
addresses.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah,
it is
okay.
incidental to get to the proposed address.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, I'm going to put a motion on the table so we can take action that we approve the Chittenden County CUD's request for 2.1 million of ARPA dollars as presented in their universal service plan to us. Is there a second?
Did you want to make that conditioned on the commitment of Consolidated so that we know that that is a requirement?
Yes, please. That addition is welcome in the motion.
Okay, so I would amend the motion to say that the grant is conditioned upon the expenditure by Consolidated, and thank you, Consolidated, in the amount of, somebody fill in the dollar amount for me, would you please? 1,163.
Yes.
Okay, great. And I would also add that our consultant, CTC, has advised us that all overbuilds in this plan are incidental.
Thank you. Okay, motion is on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Any further discussion?
Oh, wait. Where's the provision to incorporate VCBB policy, both general and specific?
Yes, let's add that as well.
So however we stated it last time, we should say it the way, yeah. So
Christine,
Patty,
can you reflect that in the motion verbiage?
Yes.
To be consistent with, our
Board
last
policies.
MEK.
Yeah. And Tony, I know that you'll look at the minutes to make sure that that's both specific and detailed.
Yes, thank you, Holly.
Okay, is there further discussion? All right, let's take action. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes carry 3-0. Congratulations, Chittenden County CUD.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that is the last substantive item before public comment, and now we can turn to public comment, closing public comment. Christine, do you want to run that for us?
Certainly. Yep. If anybody in the public would like to make a comment, you'll have 3 minutes to do so, and raise your hand and I recognize you. Okay, seeing none, we're done with public comment.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion, we adjourn. Is there a second? Second, Dan, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Holly, did
Thank
you
you,
do an aye?
everybody.
Yes, motion carries 3-0. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you at our regular meeting in October.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Everybody.